All right, so market's taking a slight dump. I'm giving you guys up to date information, and honestly, I'm going to skip the intro and just tell you right now that we might have been wrong about the altcoin season, and altcoin season might have happened already. Okay, but I do want to point out some situations, some potential situations of where the altcoin season can continue. Okay, so this is going to be an analysis on trends specifically happening in the psychology of crypto as well as some price and stuff like that. It's going to be very simple, and I don't want to make it too complicated, but I want to give you guys a specific, okay, event that will likely happen that can catalyze the next altcoin season and the next, cycle in general, right? The next hype cycle in cryptocurrency. Because right now we're kind of held back by the decrease of issuance and the Bitcoin halving, right? The Bitcoin halving kind of dictates everything right now. And I've always made the prediction that eventually the communities of people are going to catalyze the cycle, right? Eventually, people are going to come in, and there is going to be no 4 year cycles. But the question is, when is that going to happen? And obviously, this is super relevant to now because if the 4 year cycles play out, well, we're in a full on bear run. Okay, if the 4 year cycles play out, the time is over for the cryptocurrency market as a whole, and we should go into like about a year, 8 months to 12 months downturn, and then the market reverses again with the anticipation of the Bitcoin having cycle. Okay, so right now, is there enough people to adopt crypto that will move the market higher, even with this 4 year cycle playing out as we speak? And I want to try to answer that question in a couple of situations. The first one I want to look at is obviously, Bitcoin is doing well in general. So I don't want to scare people. I don't want to say bearish. Like I hate picking a side. It's not really bearish or bullish. To me, it's just how do we make the most money as possible? How do we, pivot our strategy in a way that benefits by percentages the most? That is the question you want to ask. Not bear or bull or diamond hands or, you're panic selling. These are things that put you into an isolated category and, cause you to do things like make emotional trades. But what I do think is that we are potentially in a downturn, and I've voiced my opinion over and over again, and you guys know that. So again, we look at the daily time frame, and I drew this out in my last video. You guys saw it, but we had kind of this resistance that's been playing out, and you literally see since yesterday we have Bitcoin dropping, right? Maybe we can get the bounce up to here. But I do think that at this point, however you want to draw it, Bitcoin's probably going to come back down to 30K. Okay. And I've stated my reasoning because I don't think, the law of expanding cycles is relevant to right now. Okay. So I want to show you why, right? So I was digging deep and we're going to be talking a lot about search terms. So I do want to break it down for someone that doesn't really understand what a search term is. It's very simple, it's very easy and very simple. It's what people type into a search algorithm. So, for example, the two biggest ones on earth are Google and YouTube. So, what I'm tracking right now is who typed in crypto, how many people typed in crypto. And the great part about this tool is you can see the market psychology and what they're thinking at the time because you can see what they're typing in a mass amount, right? So, it's really important. So, I want to draw your attention over here. This is the web search. So, we're looking at Google. And we have a couple of search terms, and you can draw conclusions from these search terms. So the first one's crypto. Crypto is when you think about someone typing in crypto on Google, it's basically they're thinking about cryptocurrencies. They're not thinking about Bitcoin specifically. They're thinking about the other opportunities or the utility narrative. They're thinking about, hey, what other crypto is there? And so this is more of like a retail mindset to altcoins, right? When you type in this search term crypto, then we have Bitcoin. That's obvious. When people type in Bitcoin, they're thinking about Bitcoin. It's simple, straightforward. Okay. When you type in NFT, what are you thinking about? You're thinking about NFTs or the other narrative, the utility narrative of crypto, right? Because remember, and I've said this in other videos, for the people that don't understand what I'm saying, it's very simply put, right? There's two trains of thought in crypto. The first one is, hey, Bitcoin's serving as a great, hedge against inflation. It's a great form of money. It's a superior money. Okay, so this is the money narrative, right? That we've adopted since the beginning of Bitcoin, the original big value proposition of blockchain ledger technologies was, hey, we have a superior form of money. Then Ethereum came around, and Ethereum was like, no, it's not just a superior form of money, but it's also a superior database that can be used for all types of data transfer. This is where this permissionless technology came into everything else, or smart contracts, or apps, or however you want to call it. The best name to me is Web 3.0, the next iteration of the web, the next generation of the web. So these two, again, superior form of money, next, decentralized web, right? Superior form of money. I want to break it down because it's going to make sense. But if you look at these search terms, again, we see crypto. This would be like Web3 thinking. We look at Bitcoin. This is like superior form of money thinking. We look at NFTs. That's like Web3 thinking, right? Ethereum is clearly Web3 thinking. Shiba Inu, that's like Web3. This is a meme coin, right? So if we look at last cycle, we look at 2017, you can see that Bitcoin had the vast majority of all of the search volume. Like, you could see it. It spiked up to, it's even more than where it was now, right? So people were clearly interested in Bitcoin in the last cycle. And then you see it kind of pop up a little bit. You see a couple of them. You see the search term, NFT, nothing at all in last cycle. But you see crypto doing pretty well, Ethereum doing pretty well, Shiba Inu, nothing at all. And then you could also change this up a little bit, and instead of Shiba Inu, because Shiba Inu represents like meme coins, but you could do Dogecoin, which is a little bit different, but it's the same thought process. If you're typing in Shiba Inu, it's the same thought process as Dogecoin. So you could see, again, nothing in 2017. So 2017 was primarily catalyzed by Bitcoin. And then we saw the blow off top in Bitcoin's price because of altcoins, right? So let me just kind of bring your attention to 2017, and it gets really, really, really interesting. So we saw this big blow off top that everybody's waiting for right now, where the price increased exponentially, and then it just blew off. And I think they're talking about the weekly when they say blow off top. Yeah, so you can see it right here. We have these big like jumps and then the big like declines, right? And we haven't really seen that this time. We saw kind of like this gradual topping over, like as you can see here, and something very similar here as well. And then you could say like the whole thing's like a gradual topping over, right? But the point I'm trying to make is, well, if the last cycle, right, if we look at search term history and we see the search volume just increase exponentially and then the market ended, right? Where was that this cycle? Well, if you look at it, it looks like the search volume, the same amount of people just moved to different types of subjects. They weren't really interested in Bitcoin. They were interested in, as you can see in this case, more than Bitcoin. Dogecoin had more search volume than Bitcoin. On Robinhood, which is the #1 financial website on planet Earth, 70%, don't quote me on exact percentages. I saw a report on this a couple months ago, but like 70% of all their revenue came from Dogecoin. So, you could clearly see that the demand side of what we're talking about, or the utility narrative, is becoming a bigger catalyst in crypto. It really is. It's way bigger than in 2017. So this time, Bitcoin, okay, is not the biggest catalyst for the demand side, at least. The demand, or the people using cryptocurrency, they're all jumping into different search terms. They're jumping into, as you can see, Ethereum. They're jumping into the search term crypto. And you even see this way more apparent if we switch it to YouTube search, which YouTube, again, is the second biggest search algorithm on planet Earth. It's way more apparent. Look at the search term for Bitcoin, but then look at the search term for everything else. Crypto is destroying the search term Bitcoin, and so is what is this purple one? The Dogecoin, right? Meme coin. And if you switch it to Shiba Inu, it's the same thing, right? Yes, if you switch it to Shiba Inu, it's the same thing, but it's just in different times, right? It's almost like people adopted Dogecoin first, and then they asked, what's the next best thing, like they always do, and Shiba Inu was that next best thing. And this is why, if you go to CoinGecko, these coins were not top 10, and now they are, or not top 15, not top 20. At one point, they were top 10. But right now, look, Dogecoin is number 11, and then we have a Shiba Inu number 14. You could claim that even Cardano's, I don't like saying it, I'm not trying to be mean, but you could say it's similar to a meme coin because they just now came out with smart contract capabilities and it's not developed at all. And they're still a top 6 coin. So the primary, a catalyst for Cardano is community, which is very similar to a meme coin, right? So, in general, we could see that the community adoption is definitely happening. Now, if we look at it, even with all of this adoption and everything that's going on, Bitcoin's dumping pretty bad, guys. It's just very true. Bitcoin has rejected, it looks like a double top, and we're down 43%. It is significant. You have to ask the question, even with all of this extra demand coming in from YouTube search and all these people getting excited about NFTs and the gaming metaverse tokens, and searching crypto instead of Bitcoin, can that supplement the demand that we saw here in Bitcoin's price jump? And I would say probably not yet. I do think it's going to be something in the future. I'm literally watching all of these YouTubers and they're all like, oh, ETH's going to flip Bitcoin this time. And maybe it might briefly, but I think realistically, if it wants to hold its dominance and actually pass Bitcoin, it probably won't be in this cycle or next couple of months. So it's probably going to be in maybe 2 or 3 years where we see the search volume significantly increase over Bitcoin search volume. Even with all the utility narrative combined, we're not getting the same height we got with Bitcoin in 2017, which Bitcoin moved the market, right? So bringing it back to the original question, we're dissecting, the search terms, and this is obviously only one perspective. You definitely have to look at multiple perspectives, but from a logical point of view, very simply put, again, question: can the demand of all of these other blockchain, distributed ledger technologies, can that demand actually move the market? Probably not. I don't think so. And this is why I've been pivoting in a different situation. Also, you could see the same thing with the top 100 altcoins versus Bitcoin dominance. I mean, this is not Bitcoin dominance. This is just Bitcoin. Top 100 altcoins versus Bitcoin. You can see since 2015, Bitcoin is just, taking over. And these small jumps, these are the altcoin seasons. So the question everybody's asking, where's the altcoin season this time, Alex? Where's the altcoin season? And again, I think the altcoin season already happened, but it got captured by meme coins and it got captured by, NFTs, right? Which is different. In 2017, there was only ICOs. So all of the value got captured in altcoins. And this is why we saw these significant price increases, right? So I think the altcoin cycle might actually already be over up until next cycle, which we've already talked about time horizons. It could potentially be September, October of 2022 is when kind of the next cycle, starts again. So all of these things are kind of leading me up to this last point because I've been reading a book. You should definitely read it by Ray Dalio. I've talked about it before. Let me look up the name really quickly. It's right here, Dealing with the Changing World Order. And I've been reading it, not for the words and what he's talking about, but really what he does is he lays out his thesis for how different countries' world reserve currency come into place. So it's very simple, okay? Every country has their own type of fiat currency, right? And you have like the yen, we have the USD, we have the pound, right? And since the beginning of humankind, okay, since the beginning of money being created in the first place, they've cycled power, okay? So USD was not always the biggest world reserve currency. There's been others that have dominated, and then the United States came into place up until recent history. And these cycles are typically 50 to 70 years. Now, you can read the book for yourself. Again, you can read the book for yourself and get more details, but this is the best explanation I can give you, very simply put, without reading, a 300-page book. So in general, there's a couple of catalysts or reasons why, a country loses its dominance. And this chart you can see right here. So if we come over here, you can see that there's kind of like the rise and then the top. And eventually, they get less productive. It gets overextended. The country loses competitiveness. The United States loses its competition to other countries. There's a bigger wealth gap. This sounds very similar to the United States. There's large debts. We've never, ever had debt as big as it is in current history, ever in the history of mankind. So we have huge debts. Obviously, the money printing's happening. So we're coming into the decline and a new order coming into place. And the reason I say that is because when we have this death of a world reserve currency of a USD or United States dollar, this is when we see the people start to take charge, okay? Which brings us to our original question. When are the people going to start pushing the market? It's probably going to come from an internal conflict, okay? So if you read the book, he talks about revolution just kind of starting usually in a country and, people changing the rules of the game and fixing the money. That is more of a likelihood than Bitcoin just fixing everything in the next 2 years. There's a better chance that, United States goes into a revolution. It doesn't have to be violent, even though in the book it shows that most of them are violent. But it could be, a non-violent revolution. There has been some of them where they change the rules of the game to actually help people. Okay. And this is where I see cryptocurrencies and this utility and narrative being a real driving factor. Right now, people are just jumping into crypto because they think they're going to make money. Eventually, people will jump into crypto because it's a whole new idealism. And, there's been this huge fight that they've all been paying attention to, right? So world reserve currencies flip because of a couple of reasons. It can, and I'm going to show you right here. So this is the relative internal conflict gauge. As you can see, USA has a lot of internal conflict right now. With the election of Biden, with the election of Trump, you can clearly see that the country has been divided, in left or right. And the more they get divided, the higher the chance that we're going to go into some type of fight or revolution, right? So you can see it right there. Also, you can see latest intercountry conflict zone. Again, US and China, because China's supposed to be the next one that potentially is coming into play. Personally, I don't believe China would be able to do that. I believe more that cryptocurrency will get adopted if the USD falls in value or loses its spot as the world reserve currency. I think crypto is going to come into play. But you could see that the conflict's definitely increasing. Also, if we look right here, another variable that happens all the time, and again, it's a consistent thing throughout all history, okay? And by the way, these are not my thoughts. I'm taking this from the Ray Dalio book. But another thing is black swan events and big, like for example, climate change or something that, a natural disaster, right? So as you can see here, climate change vulnerability is at its highest it's ever been. And then if we come over here, you can see the global temperature, again, highest it's ever been. Number of natural catastrophic events is on an increase. So these things will change the way people think about money. To change, it's just more pressure on the system, and the wealth gap will increase, and then it will get people to think about the current laws and structure as they go into like a recession or depression. These things, we have an economic system that's artificially inflated through the control of the Federal Reserve. And this gets exposed by big natural catastrophic events, internal conflict, wars, et cetera, et cetera. So the question is, like, when is one of these things going to happen? And when it does, that is probably more realistic for altcoins to actually have some serious demand in the market and move the entire market. That is the point I'm trying to make. It's not the utility of these altcoins. Like, oh, everyone's using NFTs, so the market has to increase forever because we have all this option in NFTs and altcoins. None of them work. None of them work. None of you even probably know how to use it. Most of you don't use it the way I do. Okay. I'm pretty confident of that because I have a big data set of people and the fundamental secrets, that I look at, and not any of them use Web3 the way I do. So people are not going to move the market up from adoption. The demand side is not coming from the utility. Utility is not a thing in crypto. It is 90% speculation. And if it is 90% speculation, then the bubble will pop eventually. Okay, so bringing it back to, hey, I think probably we're in a bear run, or it's safe to think like we're in a bear run because there's a potential downside, right? So this expanding law cycle that everybody talks about, oh, it should take longer to reach the top. I don't think that's relevant on a shorter time frame that we're looking at. I think that's relevant a 10-year time span. And I think when people start thinking of this revolutionary mindset, then they might start adopting altcoins is the case I'm trying to make right here. And if we look at, again, USA internal conflict gauge, you can see we're on an uprise. And in other times in history, when we had recessions/depressions, there was this big spike as well, right? Political conflict, internal, we're all on an uprise, right? So pay attention to what's going on. I think it's more likely, again, that if we have this big internal conflict in the United States, the USD loses its world reserve power, then more people will be inclined to adopt altcoins. More countries will make, their version of a fiat, digital currency, and then more people will adopt altcoins. And then at that point, cryptocurrency will be a force of nature that's not tied down to Bitcoin's decrease of issuance or the 4-year cycles, right? Cryptocurrency won't be tied down to just Bitcoin anymore at that point. But I don't want to ruin your parade. I don't want to make this like a whole negative thing. But I want to show you what I've been doing. So if you go to Yearn Finance, there's money everywhere. I just dropped these into some vaults here, and you can see I'm earning money every day. It's not significant. It's only 10% APY, but it's relatively safe. I think even if we go into a bear run, we're going to be able to make ridiculous amounts of money. Also, Matt, one of our coaches, has created bots, and he's been testing them for the past 6 months. In some cases, getting ridiculous profit, as you can see here, 31% in just like a month and a half. Look at the dates, right? So there's always money to be made. Again, a couple of months, we have 38% profit per day, 0.22%. This is better than yield farming. So it's very interesting. And then you can see in some cases, he has 1% a day. This is better than yield farming. So there's always opportunities. And he talks about that in the fundamental secrets and stuff like that. But in general, guys, altcoin season, I think is probably already happened realistically. And I know a lot of people are saying, altcoins are going to flip Bitcoin. Well, they're not really looking at the bigger picture. They're not looking at the fact that people are adopting NFTs, and you can't monetize all altcoins with just the NFT case. NFTs sell and settle in Ethereum, but it's not people buy the NFT. That's where the value settles, right? So it's different from ICOs. ICOs, people are buying the altcoins. This is why we had this massive altcoin season. And also, just to add to that, I think again, the blow off top, right? If we look at Dogecoin again, like these big communities already happened. Like look at this huge. It already beat Bitcoin. It was more people adopted altcoins this cycle than last cycle. You can clearly see it from the search term, and you could probably see it from the price, but it's going to be less significant because it's a more mature market. But yeah, there's a lot of data. Watch the video again if you have to. We're going to make a part 2 to this, and I'll dive a little bit deeper and explain the concepts on a more foundational level. But that's it for this video. If you like the quality of this content, hit like. If you don't, leave some constructive criticism. Subscribe for more video updates. And like I always say, if you don't get with it, you will get left behind. Thanks for watching this, guys. Catch you in the next one.